of the Icelanders GM prep. I've never actually done the GM prep for an Apocalypse World system before, so let's learn together about how this works. Here we go. Hello, everyone. And that should do it. There we go. Let me pull out my my PDFs here, and let's get started. So this is the two MC Master of Ceremony play sheets that we have on the front sheet. I need to organize everything into threats and fronts. So let's talk about the characters we have so far in this particular game. Pop out the chat. Chat apparently tonight is pretty happening. I feel like I'm being trolled slightly by Cat, but that's fairly normal. Yeah. Hashtag Iceland, guys. Hashtag Iceland. So we know that there is a river spirit. That is a member of the cast. Outlaw and bandits. There is a man named Brecky. Now, in the storyline, he has been dropped off in England by the party, but I feel like he's going to come back later, and he is going to have a countdown. Neighbors and families. Well, actually, we're not done with outlaws and outcasts, because among the outlaws and outcasts, we also have Gurney, Laura's daughter. That is Unicron's apprentice, who is, spoiler alert. By the way, this whole thing is spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching this immediately, unless you've already watched all of Saga of the Icelanders. And considering at this current time, it's barely even begun. Well, anyway, the point is, spoiler alert, Gurney, the Thora's daughter, is attempting to kill Unicron and direct the village in her place. So, I think that's going to tie directly into another character. Let's figure out who that is. It's Outline. I don't know if I want to put Outline under Outlaws and Outcasts. Let's see. He has provoked and challenged, so I'm going to throw him down. No, Seek Vengeance is under Neighbors and Family, so that's where that's going to be. Outlaw is now known as Outlaw Crushed Hand, because if you'll remember, Ben's character, Olaf Olafsson, crushed his hand in combat and tried to shame him by physically beating him. So Outlaw is going to be using a number of these moves to improve his status. In the intervening time between where the show ended last time and where it begins next time, Outlaw is taking up Baldur Ragnarsson. He's taking his place as the Huskarl. So there's still two Huskarls, but now it's Olaf and Aitlin. And Aitlin is rapidly becoming the more popular Huskarl. Here's why. Because Aethgarder and Meckley, who we saw were in the Longhouse, were making out together. Aethgarder and Meckley. Aethgarder opposes Olaf now because he believes that Olaf and his how do I put this? His support of Baldur against the Gothi? Man, I'm having trouble pronouncing that. Apparently, the D is the TH in father, so father, Gothi. Okay, that's close enough. The Gothi. Gothi Olaf Ragnarsson, right? Gothi Olaf Ragnarsson. Esgarder is upset that Olaf Olafsson has opposed this, that they basically killed him in cold blood. They knew he was drunk. They knew he was upset. There might have been something wrong with him that day. They're not really sure. So Asgarder and Meckley are together. They're not married, but they are together. And Asgarder is leading Meckley around. I suspect they will be both growing and prospering and acting as one. But they're going to be acting as one against the party. Um, Powerful men and women. We have the Herald of King Harold. I'm going to put King Harold the Fair-Haired. And this is actually going to change. It's going to be a new person. And they're probably going to do all of these things. So, if you'll remember, the party managed to become the leaders of the village. But, key problem, there was something in their way. And it was this herald who showed up and demanded taxes for the king that they left behind back in Norway. So while, as predicted by their Sluthkona, they did become quite prosperous over the year, and they brought back much gold on their raids. There was no one to run the village. They left nobody in charge. None of them have any moves or training at actually running a village, and there's no one who is merchant minded, and so the village is basically in ruins by the winter. They have no wood for fire beyond the scraggly brush that you get in Iceland, so they're unable to repair any housing. There's no one to direct the fields, and with no one at home, their leader went a Viking. Like, seriously, like, the mayor left the town for 6 months. Okay? Imagine that shit. Um, there was no one to direct the farming for what few men remained behind and the women. And so it didn't get done. There's not enough food for this winter. But they have a ton of money. Problem, the herald of the king shows up and is like, well, now you got to pay taxes. And even worse, they agreed to do it. So the herald was just a threat. There are heralds showing up all across Iceland at this point, and they're like, pay the taxes or we'll attack you. And nobody's paying them because they know that it's going to be really hard for Harold the Fair-Haired to attack them. But now that they've got this one village with a lot of money and not much else paying taxes, they've got an inn. They've got a crowbar in the door now, and they're just going to use that to wedge the door open and force their way into Iceland. So good. The man, not the mayor. Right. Well, they don't actually have a man to help them out. Yeah. So the thing to remember is that he basically is the mayor. Baldur Ragnarsson. He is not the man. He is not really, Ket. He's not a man playbook, and he's not a Gothi playbook, but he's trying to play both of those while also still being a Huskarl, and it's gonna slap him down. There's gonna be some serious problems there. All right. I don't think we've actually seen anything from the land and the sea, right? There's not been any particular problems in that area. Hmm. All right. I feel like we should add something. And I think it's going to be, I don't know what to call it. Follow fields? let's say untended crops. Okay, so we have actors all over the place. Got actors on actors on actors. Now we have to assemble countdowns for these threats. But we also need to assign them to specific fronts. So I think that Odin is a front that I want to have specifically because I want to subvert gender roles. So Aesgarder and Meckley are definitely going in my Odin category. And I want to have 2 or 3 of these according to the text, which doesn't sound bad to me. So Aesgarder and Meckley. So they're going to be for subvert gender roles primarily. I'm not gonna put that down because they get access to all 3 of these things. But what's going to happen is Aesgarder's basically going to become more of a warrior, and Meckley's going to become like kind of like a skull, but also a craftsman. And this is really considered unacceptable during the Icelandic times. It's Freki, Freki. Come on, Cat. I know you're trying to troll, but it's a little bit on the downside. All right. Just to appease the cats of the audience, we'll pick Loki. So with Loki, I know you probably can't read the text with the size that it is. Well, it's also upside down. Maybe you can, I'm not sure. But here are the moves that Loki will give me. Display jealousy and resentment, act with cowardice and deceit, and shake the foundations. That is undoubtedly Gurney the child. She's been acting with cowardice and deceit. She's attempting to kill people. She is jealous of things. I think that the Herald will also act under this. So now we need a category to wrap up Aitland, the River Spirit, and the Cropson all in one. So Aitland's proud but mad. Oh, look at that. Perfect. We're going to be talking about Hel. This is the goddess of the Pantheon's afterlife where they send the diseased, the cowardly. She is the gatekeeper. Her name is Hel, and that is going to allow me to use the following moves: display greed and hunger, spread disease and decay, and present a bleak fate. That works perfectly for Aitlan. The River Spirit will almost certainly be presenting bleak fates. We already know that it's capable of showing people things as long as you give it something. In this case, it was Gurney's blood. And the untended crops is perfect for hunger. So there we go. We have our cast assembled. We have our fronts assembled. Let's pull these fronts up. I'm not going to write any custom moves at this time, but we will do the countdown now. So, what this countdown is well, here's an example of one from the book. If there was something called a festering wound, the countdown would be like day 1, the wound becomes infected and begins to swell. Day 2, the wound fills with pus and smells bad. Day 3, the discharge becomes worse, the limb is beyond repair, and day 4, death becomes inevitable. And so what would happen is, as each day passed, someone who has a festering wound would display the next level of problems. And so this countdown, let's get some names for this. This countdown is going to be the Odin countdown. This is going to be the Loki countdown. The Hel countdown. And these are going to go by seasons. So this is winter, spring, summer, and autumn. So for Odin, we have Aesgarder and Meckley. I think that during winter, the first step to their subverting gender roles and displaying great ambition is swapping jobs. The next thing that they're going to do is during the spring, if they survive the winter, they're definitely going to make a move against Balder. Better spread these out, actually. Okay, so they take a step against Balder. Undoubtedly, they're going to learn that in order to move against Balder, they need to eliminate his support. And that means taking out Olaf and Un the Crone. And finally, if they survive until next autumn and they've completed all of their other goals, then they become man, woman together and run the place. Works out perfectly for them. That's their ambition. And along the way, they're going to begin revealing the secret and hidden things that people have been using behind the back. I suspect it will not take much. Now, again, this is me trying to predict the future, but that's part of what this game is about. But even if I don't have to use this, it's still available to me. All right. So far I can just use the 2 Odin moves, subvert generals, and display great ambition. But I also have discovered secret and hidden things. And the thing is, undoubtedly, with the way Balder Olafsson has been playing, he's probably going to do some more secret stuff. He's going to make decisions without people. He's going to try to cover up certain events that might happen. So we'll figure that out. So we have Gurney and the Herald now. I think Gurney's going to be way more direct. She spent all summer and autumn preparing to, if not kill, Un the Crone, to dishonor her, as far as not dishonor in the sense that Un the Crone actually has honor, which she can't. In this game, as a woman, because of the way the Saga period is and the way that the rules break things down, women don't actually have honor, but she does have use. Un the Crone is known for her powerful magics, and Gurney is going to attempt to break that. So let's see what kind of moves we're looking at with Loki to decide how this countdown is going to go. Display jealousy and resentment. Okay, so I think the first move for Gurney and the Herald is going to be something about jealousy and resentment. Seethe. I really like that. It always reminds me of Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace, when he just is locked behind that shield wall in the Theed's generator palace generator, and he's just walking back and forth, being mad at Qui-Gon Jinn. He's seething with anger. So I think that when play comes back, we're going to have an incredibly upset Gurney who spends the whole episode just lashing out at anyone nearby. The Herald is also equally seething. He got paid some money, probably, and what he wants is more. He wants to take over this village for himself. You know, this is his foothold into a greater noble title. If he could convince the king to launch troops on this village, it's over. I mean, they would have a foothold in Iceland, and they would be able to start bringing Norwegian troops over and basically claim the place as a colony. So move 2 is, if that anger and resentment continues to build, I think Gurney and the Herald are going to make an alliance. During the summer, It's prepare for invasion. And should they continue their combined efforts undetected, then finally we have a Norwegian invasion. That's it. Troops will land, way more than the players can handle, and the village, with its highly defensible location, its good fishing spots, and its water access, both fresh and salt. That's it. They have the perfect base of operations to support a very large army out of their village. So let's look at our cast for hell. We've got Atlan, we've got the River Spirit, and we've got the Untended Crops. Hmm. Let's see. I'm up for you guys if you have anything to suggest here. I need to do a bit of thinking on this part. What do I want to have happen? Well, I think at the start we have to do crops fail. That's definitely going to be the winter. Crops fail, hunger. Should people survive to the spring, it's going to get bad. I think that at that point, if we're looking co-equally, right? Asgarder and Mekli are making a move against Balder. At the same time, Aitlin is probably going to be doomsaying. So Aitlin's going to be like, if this continues, we're not going to survive the next year. Obviously, we need someone smarter in charge. That kind of stuff. And those two, while separate, remember, because either one of or both could be knocked out, they could be stopped. The players could act against this. I don't know. But if neither of them are stopped, then these two groups will be acting together. With the irony of Odin and Hel working together. Um, huh. So, let's say there is some doomsaying. What happens after that? I think that presenting a bleak fate. I feel like the river spirit's going to come in at this point and basically start haunting people. And we don't have to finish this. So, I think the last one will just be called Doom Comes in the form of haunting. I think that the. So, well, okay. Rather than dismiss it, I will simply say this: in this game, during this saga period, uh, elves, land elves, I think they're called Landsknecht. Now I really want to know what it is. Elf-like spirits, they're called Landvitier, Landwights, or Huldefolk, the hidden folk. So in this game, they're considered real in the 900 periods. So yeah, if Doom comes, it's going to be in that form. It's going to be the river spirit is like, the people are coming, and everyone's going to be like, "What people?" And it's just going to keep talking to Oon the Crone and just say the people are coming. And then the elves, mad that uh, people are covering Iceland and not believing in them, are going to start working their Sather, their magic, to drive them off. So yeah, that we've assembled our countdowns. I think we did a pretty good job of it. What else do we have to do? Let's talk about the other stuff. As I mentioned, I, as a GM, can only make certain moves. Whenever I do or say anything in the game, it has to be one of the moves. So here are what I can do. My ceremonial moves are suggest future calamity, inflict harm, put a price on something, put them in the middle, put them together, separate them, offer an opportunity, make honor and shame real, and change the seasons. So those are the overarching moves that I can use. I think you'll see if you go back and watch, much of what I do falls along with that. When you see something that's not one of those, it's going to be one of the threat moves. I was relying on these a lot. The whole point of the River Spirit came from offering a bargain and then fulfilling. I fulfilled every prophecy set in front of me. All of them were fulfilled. Outlaws and Outcasts with Frecky. Frecky tried to act in secret and failed. They found him coming up. And then he continued to do stuff. And in the process, the Gothi acted without honor. Just another move. So yeah, those are things that I did. I don't have the option of just making something up. I must follow these as the players follow them as well. So let's talk about. Uh-oh. The PDF seems crashing. Talk about the principles. We probably haven't discussed that at all. So there are principles this game is based on. I'm trying to find them in the text because this is really small. I can read it, but I don't know that you guys can. I have to follow these principles during all conversations. Put my heart and brain on the table. Let everything flow from the fiction. That one, I feel like I should explain that because not everyone might understand a reference to the fiction if you've never read or played an Apocalypse World engine game before. Always let situations and consequences grow and flow naturally from what's already there and established in our shared imaginations. Don't make things happen without in-game justification. When you make a move, don't say that you're making a move or which one, only describe its effects in the fiction. Which I think I've done pretty well so far. Another principle that Masters of Ceremonies have to follow is let everything. Oh, I did that one. Address the characters, not the players. Be a fan of the player characters. Oh, I think I have been. Especially Un the Crone. I have been setting her up so hard on these prophecies. And just, I like to think it's easy shots. Over and over. Just giving her exactly what she wants. And then showing them how it plays out. Aim at the characters and their moves. So that's when I'm using my moves, I need to be thinking how can I interact with the player characters in such a way that they're able to respond. Think about the larger world. Well, we got Harold the Fairhaired here. That's all I'm going to say. Give everyone a history. Now this one is really important. I'm going to pull up my relationship web. Here we go. Here's this one. So, for instance, Thora has become more than just Thora, right? Thora is Gurney's mother, but now, and she hates Un. We have to know that there is more to it than that. She needs a history. So, I think Thora is a former Shield Maiden badass who's just like wrecking face, and then one day has a daughter with a man, and just instantly, bam, settles down. And now she knows that her daughter has a little bit of this Sather, the magic of the world. And now she's completely frightened and doing whatever she can to lash out and force her daughter back to put this back to her family. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. All these people need to have a history. Especially these people, right? Mekli, Aitlan, and Aesgarder are about to not be raiders anymore. Olaf is going to lose 3 of his raiders because these guys don't answer to him anymore. So they're stepping up as new main characters rather than just as like backseat NPCs. So Yeah, I think we should probably do that now. Let's talk about it. So Thora isn't just Gurney's mother and hates Un. She wants a better non-magical life for her child. Wants a badass field maiden until she got pregnant. Bertie Howard's daughter. I think that she she is a foreigner, right? We know that she wants to. Oh, you know what? That's right. We already have it over here. Yep. She's a foreigner. She wants to escape the island and go home. So, in future episodes, once societal order breaks down in the next episode, and it will, unless the players are exceptionally clever, which is always a possibility, um, she's gonna want to go home once things start getting bad. There's no food. There's a harsh winter. We'll start dying from cold, from starvation, from plots. She's gonna want to go home, and that's gonna put a pretty serious strain on the relationship with the guy who's living in her house. So let's give Aesgarder a little history. She's a shield maiden. We already know this. Um, I think she's probably not the best warrior. I think she's small and weak, regarded by other men as regarded by other men as what? Hmm. Oh, you know what? As a little sister. Damn, perfect. I think she has never killed a man, and her name is Aesgarder Ola's Ola daughter. We already know that Aitlan is all of these things. We don't need anything else. He's got a history. And Meckley, let's call him Meckley Ketson. There we go. Gotta appease the Kets of the world. He secretly wants to be a skald and craftsman, likes working with his hands, and he has been saving up to support that kind of life. Good. Hey, we've got the history of those down. Let's talk about these two. I don't know that they need to have more history. We know that there is a mother and father because they're siblings. So we know that Ingolf and Ingolds are married because of the way naming conventions work, and that there's a family. They don't like Valder, and that this is a very fussy woman who, again, doesn't like Balder. And so let me talk about what the next episode's going to open up as. They're going to be on the farmstead that has Thora, Samandra, and Laura. And again, huge spoiler alert here. Aitlon is going to be marrying Laura instead of Olaf Ragnarsson. Aitlon has been displaying lots of honor. He has been a good raider. He's become a Huskarl. Olaf has shamed himself with his dishonorable, cowardly acts in the last episode. He openly declared his dishonor and has basically said that money is all that matters in life. And so Aitlin has impressed Ingolf and Ingolds and will be marrying. So, while there, Gurney the child is going to be launching her countdown during the festivities. Also launching the countdown during the festivities is the untended crops. While they're there, there's going to be talk among the wedding party or the so it's like a feast. It's a feast from like a neighboring place that's maybe 2 or 3 days down the road, and they're like, "Hey, there's going to be a marriage. It's Aitlin," and Aitlin's like, "Hey guys, come with me to my wedding feast. It's going to be awesome as fuck." And so, yeah, the party is going to be there for that. Can't say no to a feast. I'm sorry, Baldur Olafsson is probably going to be pissed because he's been trying to marry Laura to get in good with her dad, who's a very powerful man. Uh, and we're going to bring all that into play. We're going to bring in the fact that her dad, Ingold, is a Gothi, that he doesn't like Baldur Olafsson, that he thinks he's a coward, that he thinks he's deceitful, that he thinks he's not a proper person to run a village. Does Aitler's future bride prefer him as well? Yes. I think that Laura is probably going to like Aitlin more than she likes. You know what? That would actually be a weird twist. I think she doesn't like either of them. Fantastic. Thank you for that suggestion. She is just like whatever. She's doing whatever her dad says, because that's how this time period works. So I think she's probably going to be super bitter all the time, no matter who she's around, because she doesn't really want to get married. She's just doing it because dad said so. Um, so yeah, that's the setting. Gurney's going to be there, and Gurney's going to be scheming. Frecky is not going to be present. Frecky will not be back until the next year in play. We may not actually see him again, depending on how the game goes. So the way the game moves forward is, at certain points in the story, usually at the end of the episode, but not necessarily, I can be like, hey, we're gonna move forward something, right? Wow, that's a fantastic suggestion, Lyrium. That's so good. Oh, holy shit, what if her and Gurney were having a relationship? Like, what if all summer and autumn Gurney's been like disappearing for long periods of time to carry out her secret plans, and in the process she met up with Laura, and they're both like, "Yeah, we both hate our family. Let's be friends." So good. All right, I think Thora is going to be there as well at this. Why am I bringing all these characters that we haven't seen so far into play? Because in order for the players to level up in this system, they have to make moves versus the people that they have relationships with. So we need to have those people present. Not Gurney, it's Gierney. E-I. E-I-R-N-I. But no, not Gurney Halleck. You see, Gurney the child is not the owl of the desert. Is that what he was called in Dune? The owl? At least it's not as bad as that one guy they keep bringing back from the Dune books. Whoever the fighter was, shit, what was his name? I know Gurney was the one, or not. Oh man, Gurney Halleck was the one training Al Muad'Dib. And I don't even want to go into Dune right now. Let's move past that, or we'll be talking about Dune for a long time. Uh, yeah, I think we have an interesting wedding set. So we've got the illicit relationship between Gurney and Laura. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual at this point, but it's definitely that they like spending time together more than they like spending time with their families. Um, Thora's gonna be there and will be like openly mad against the crone. And this setting gives me the perfect time to start pulling off all of these moves. Crops fail and there's hunger in the village. Everybody shows up and they're eating everything in sight at this wedding feast. Perfect. And people can talk to each other about how much better this farmstead that's just a few days down the road is doing, as opposed to the village that they're currently in. And that can be like background talk among the NPCs to each other. I'll have to wrap it up with another move, right? But it's almost certainly going to be challenging and provoking. And with that talk, just absolutely destroy Baldur Olafsson's confidence in his rule. Um, what better place than this feast far from home to have Aesgarder and Meckley begin revealing their stronger, more long-term relationship to each other, and the fact that they are swapping gender roles right in front of a very powerful Gothi. Just everything in the world that the three players have built up. This village that they think is doing so well because it has a lot of money. Just the beginning of the episode is going to be showing how it's not. The village is not doing well, and it's time to tear it down. So yeah, that's my plan for the next episode, which is going to be tomorrow night. Join me then, guys. Thank you for coming out. Hopefully, you've enjoyed this look into both my brain, Saga the Icelanders. Keep it hashtag Icelandic, and I'll see you tomorrow, guys.